again a dummy half. He gives it across this time to Matt Goodwin. Goodwin picks up another 5 for the Eels. Barnes again a dummy half. From that position he takes off. Bad mark of defence that time. But then Kevin Wallace seizes him and pulls him down 32 out from the Brisbane line. Kenny's a dummy half to Sterling. Back to Laurie. Sterling on the wraparound. Turns it inside to Lydiard. This kid has split him. He's supported out wide. A little Jason Bell. Go you little beauty, son. That's a great try. JC boy.
Oh, that's a marvellous try. Sterling, the genius at work. The little master. A brilliant bit of Parramatta play. And that is a heck of a rugby league try. Sterling the run around. And he ran around. He looked for support. And he found Lydiard on the inside of him. Lydiard left Langer for dead. And he went straight to Hoff. He gave the ball to Jason Bell. And the kid from Wentworthville has gone in and scored a marvellous rugby league try. Brilliant stuff though from Sterling. He ran around Mark Laurie beautifully, and Dowling took him and hammered him. But he got the ball inside. Beautiful stepping from Lydiard. He left the halfback Alan Langer for dead, and then a magnificent rugby league try scored by Jason Bell. That's the Grace brothers' try of the round so far in this marvellous game of football. 4-0 to the Eels, and they are on fire. That was beautiful stuff.
It sure was. Now we've got the kick to be taken. Young Glenn Lydiard attempting the conversion of the Bell try, 22 metres in from the far touchline.
Ah, Sterling's a genius.
Oh, great pass. He took the bump too and stayed on his feet if he was needed to back up. 18 metres out now. Lydiard to see if he can kick this Bell try. This will really put the screws right into the Brisbane side, and just maybe we can send you back over the border again.
I wouldn't write them off, Greg.
I'm not writing them off.
They've got so much power, it's not funny.
That's why I said maybe. There's the kick and there's the two.
Glenn Lydiard kicks the conversion after playing a vital role in the game. That's a beautiful try. Parramatta 6, lead Brisbane 0. Good conversion. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Oh, what a glorious ball by Sterling. What a top-class player that Lydiard's going to be. Isn't this a game now?
It certainly is a game. 6-0 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. And the chant goes up for the Eels. Listen to them roar.
There's the kick-off now from Dale Shearer. Deep down, Sterling taking a 10 out from his own goal line. And he comes across field. He's going to be taken this time and put down by Andrew G inside his own quarter line. Barnes a dummy half across to Matty Goodwin. He just brushes Gavin Allen right out of the way. Goes forward. Miles is there to eventually stop him. He gets up the play back to Barnes. Goes across this time to Laurie. Tries to duck Andrew G, but goes to ground 30 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. Barnes again a dummy half across to Horo. He shapes up to it. Miles over the top with a rabbit killer.
There's a rabbit killer. Where are the touch judges?
I don't know, but we've got Parramatta's Drake now going forward. And he's going to be taken on the far side, that time by Langer. 2 Brisbane players dropping off him. Barnes back to Lydiard. His kick is a high one. Not a lot of yardage gain, but he's racing through. Awkward bounce for Hancock. Lydiard comes at him. Oh, and he nails him. 12 metres out from the Brisbane goal line.
Well, they're all fired up, Parramatta, and the presence of Sterling has made them grow another leg here this afternoon. Good game of football. 6-0 to the Eels.
Willie Kahn put down. Back now to Kieran Wallace across the big Paul Hoff. He needs a lot of room to get no ball, and he only picks up another metre or so before Barnes puts him away. Kieran Wallace out now to Mark Hone.
He's only got to fall over to make 6 metres.
Back in now, it goes into the arms of Dowling, and Dowling now gets out of his own quarter with a strong burst. They've got one left to go, the Brisbane side. It goes to Kieran Wallace, back to Alfie Langer, and Langer gets a kick down to Lydiard. Lydiard beautifully taking it on the full, but he has knocked it on.
He's ruled a knock on.
I'd have to look at that one again.
Well, it was a tiny one. The kid didn't complain. Let's check the scores on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters.
8, South 4, Sharks with a kick to come.
Brian Surtees.
Western Suburbs and North Sydney 2-all.
John Purnell.
0-all, Canberra and Illawarra.
Phil Tressida.
Canterbury 2, St George 0.
Kevin Taylor.
Collingwood 58, lead Sydney 47.
Okay, scrum to go down. It's a Brisbane Broncos feed and they win it.
Straight out to Kevin Wallace. He gives it across to Hoff again, trying to bust the line. Good tackle by Kenny, drops him. Now it's back again to Kevin Wallace. Out wide to Alfie Langer, gives it to Hone. Hone tries to get rid of one, and he does, but eventually again Barnes comes at him to pull him down.
13 minutes gone at Parramatta Stadium, and it's 6 points to 0 in favour of Parramatta over Brisbane.
Dowling put down by Drake. Up there to play it. Kieran Wallace a dummy half. Gavin Allen now takes off too. Horo comes at him and he slams him 30 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. It's back now to Kieran Wallace again across to Langer. Good pass out to Gene Miles, and he's trying to offload the ball basketball style, but Jackson's having nothing of that, and they wrestle the big man to the turf. 35 out from the Parramatta goal line. Kieran Wallace to Langer, drops it off the end of the toe. This time he's been put down. Scramble for the ball. Lydiard takes it 2 for Parramatta. 15 out from his own goal line. No action by the referee. 6 tackles ruled. A penalty would have sufficed in that situation for Parramatta. But now we see Joe Bartolo trying to get up and go again. On all fours he was, but he's still pulled down on his own quarter line. Barnes at dummy half to Horo. Horo going forward too. Outside the Parramatta quarter line he scrambles. He's up the plant. Barnes at dummy half across the Drake, offloads to Goodwin. Goodwin dummies. Had little Danny Krankovic going through the gap but couldn't unload, and he's pulled down now 30 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. Barnes trying to go forward. Hones out there to grab him and eventually pull him to ground. Kenny at dummy half. He sends it back to Glenn Lydiard again, and Lydiard gets a long kick downfield to Hoff. Plenty of defence up there too. What can they do? Jackson's got hold of him, and the praying mantis bites the dust again.
Yeah, well, the Brisbane Broncos under siege at the moment. Very keen Parramatta, and they are putting this Broncos side to the test. The competition leaders know they're in a heck of a game of football this afternoon. They're not at Lang Park. They've come to the den of the Parramatta Eels, and Kenny, a beautiful tackle on Johns, right around the bootlaces.
Back now to Andrew G. Oh, he's taken beautifully too by Peter Sterling. Head on with Matt Goodwin over the top. Kieran Wallace back to Dowling. Good pass out to Miles. Again, Miles put away this time beautifully in the rib cage by Drake. 1 left to go, 8 over the halfway line. Kieran Wallace to Langer, and again Langer getting the kicking game into gear with a beauty down to Krankovic. He picks it up 2 out from his own goal line, decides to go on his own with a little step, but he's taken 15 metres out from the Parramatta goal line.
16 minutes gone, Parramatta 6, a magnificent try to Jason Bell, laid on by Sterling and Lydiard, and now we've got a breakaway by Parramatta.
Go Jason Bell's flying down the touchline, and eventually Hancock catches up with him, 32 out from the Brisbane goal line.
Well, he beat Hancock on the outside, but the pace of Hancock, he came again. There's Sterling, and Sterling's put down by Hone. Parramatta offside, and certainly they put Sterling out of play there. Mark Hone was the tackler, but inside the 5, and they're going to have a shot at goal. Glenn Lydiard on the Mitsubishi scoreboard, 6-0. Let's check them for footy tab around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Oh, Cronulla's on fire. Cronulla 14, South 4, Sharks with a kick to come.
Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 4, Western Suburbs 2.
John Purnell.
Still 0 all here, Canberra and Illawarra.
Phil Tressida.
Canterbury 2, St George 0.
Kevin Taylor.
Collingwood 64, leads Sydney 47.
Okay, Glenn Lydiard is 24 metres out, and he's around about 10 metres off the centre of the field. Sterling put down in back play, just receiving a bit of attention, and that was a touch and go, but the little fella got straight to his feet. Mark Hone was the tackler.
Okay, we've got Lydiard now to have a shot at this
Well, as the
penalty.
trainers run onto the field, there's a shot at goal. Send him off, Rip.
Well, they've
Get rid of him.
Been doing it for years.
Yeah,
doing
well,
it for years.
Now there's a player down in front of the uprights. He's got to get off the field, the trainer.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what he does.
He's just got to send him straight off.
Well, he'll just see what sort of attention. See, the player's not down on his feet. That's the problem. The player should be down to receive attention.
Well, the referee should just tell him to get to the heck out of the field and not come on again.
Or pull him over to this corner.
Yeah, there's a bit of time wasting. That's boring. Get him off the field.
Okay, the kick now to be taken.
Absolutely boring.
Oh, he waved time off, so no seconds lost in this situation.
That's an old ploy. Do they think we're stupid in Sydney?
No, evidently they do.
Queensland is trying to tell us a trick or two on how to duke.
Okay, now we've got 28 metres out from the goal line. Lydiard up, and I'm here to tell you, nobody can teach us. 28 metres in from touch. Glenn Lydiard to try and get this 2 points for the Parramatta Eels as he comes in now. He hits it beautifully. And he's got the 2 points. The Eels, well, rip and tear.
8 points to 0 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard after 18 minutes of play. So Parramatta, a great lead, isn't enough against a side with as much potent power as this Brisbane Broncos. 8 points to 0. Lydiard has got 2 out of 2 this afternoon for the Parramatta side. So Parramatta 8, lead the Broncos 0. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
And we've got a referee up to the occasion, new beauty, Greg McCallum.
Okay, maybe the other referee wouldn't have been able to handle it as well, but certainly a good game so far today, and the referee playing his role.
Danny Krankovic in possession after Sterling taking it from the kick-off. Krankovic nearly up to his own quarter line. Plays it to Barnes, goes across now, out to Goodwin. Goodwin manages to just get over his own quarter line before being knocked to the ground. Barnes again a dummy half. It goes across this time to Mark Laurie. And Laurie nearly breaks him too, but eventually he's knocked down by Gavin Allen in a strong hit over the top. Back now to Barnes, gives it across to Drake. Langford's there, trailing him, but Drake couldn't slip his pass away as he's knocked to the ground. 30 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. Barnes again to Sterling, and Sterling getting to the heck out of there with a long kick downfield. Hoff's going to go back and take this one, and he does 15 out from his own goal line. Starts to get the legs going, and another good tackle around the legs brings him down 28 metres out from the Brisbane goal line. Hancock goes forward. He's going to be put away that time by Mark Horo, 2 and a strong tackle. 30 out from the Brisbane goal line. It's gone from Kieran Wallace across this time to Dale Shearer, and Shearer put down centre field. 32 out from the Brisbane goal line.
Just at the moment, the Parramatta forwards are on top of the Bronco forwards, and there's not too many of the Broncos except for Dowling and for Gene Miles who want to take the ball up. Here's the turn now of Andrew G, but he's head down, bottom up. You don't need any science to know what he's going to do. You need a court order to get it off him.
Langer now, after the arms of McCullum, has gone up for the last tackle. Lydiard takes it in his own quarter line. Plenty of defence up there too. He can't beat Hone's tackle, and he goes to ground 30 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. Sterling now has got Krankovic into the attack. He's got Kenny going one way. He makes the bust of Danny. Krankovic still going, bouncing off 1 or 2. Jackson's there with him. Jackson goes to take the football. It's gone back towards the Parra goal line. Play on, says the referee. Bartolo across now to Matty Goodwin. 5 metres over the halfway line. Goodwin goes, Dowling the tackler. Up the play to Barnes, goes across now to Sterling. Out this time to Laurie, and Laurie's pulled down 30 metres from the 30 metres out from the Brisbane goal line. Peter Sterling, a long pass picked up by Krankovic. Don't know how he did that one, but then Hancock is there to knock him to ground.
Parramatta territorially are all over the Broncos. There's a grubber kick by Sterling, and he's found touch a couple of metres out. And Hoff must be wondering what's happening today, because Sterling is kicking away from the man with the tall man. Yeah, and he's kicking away from him and worrying the life out of him. Let's check the scores around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 14, South Sydney 4.
Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 4, lead Wests 2.
John Purnell.
Canberra and Illawarra 0-0.
Phil Tressida.
Canterbury 2, St George 0.
Kevin Taylor.
And at half-time, it's Collingwood 64, leading Sydney 48.
Okay, back at Parramatta Stadium, a penalty to the Broncos. Parramatta inside the 5. What a great game. 8 points to 0 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard in favour of the Parramatta Eels. A brilliant try by Jason Bell, laid on by Peter Sterling and Glenn Lydiard, and then Lydiard converted that in the 18th minute, kicked the penalty goal. 22 minutes gone, and it is 8 points to 0.
Kieran Wallace to Dowling. Dowling up over the halfway line. Picked up very valuable metres then for the Brisbane side. Drake the tackler. Kieran Wallace again a dummy half out to Gavin Allen. He tries to get past 1 or 2. Certainly not Matt Goodwin, and he puts him to ground. Kieran Wallace across this time to Mark Hone. So in 3 tackles, they've picked up something like 35 to 40 yards for the Brisbane side. Kieran Wallace now across to Langer. He switches it wide, this time to Gene Miles. Miles turns it back inside to Johns. He goes without it. Langer eventually gets to the football first. Play on, says the referee. Kieran Wallace across to Andrew G. My goodness, he's passed it. Back now it goes to Kevin Wallace, to brother Kieran Wallace. He turns his attention to Hone. Hone again tries to go forward. Slips it out the back door to Kevin Wallace, then across to Kieran Wallace. He gives it back to Langer again, and Langer at this time is pulled out on the Parramatta quarter line with 1 to go.
Beautiful take by Langer. It's Miles now who put the kick through, and he does.
Yes, and Danny Krankovic is there to clean up, but back in his own in goal he goes. Miles up there
Jason
quickly.
Bell it was.
Is it Bell? I thought it was Krankovic.
Bell.
It was too. You're spot on. You've been to Gibbon Beeman, son.
Yep.
OPSM.
Yeah, well, I'll introduce you to the kid later.
Ha! We're going to have a goal line dropout.
Would you believe it? His manager doesn't know him.
Would you stop that sort of talk, Peter?
Ridiculous.
Back now it goes into the arms.
Fancy
this
being
time
managed by
of
Hollywood.
Lydiard.
It's like giving whiskey to the Indians.
I don't know. You don't seem to be doing too bad. Back now it goes into the arms of the Brisbane side. And on the far side, getting up the plat was Willie Kahn. He plays it this time. It goes to Dowling. Dowling takes off from the back of the ruck too and carries himself into the Parramatta quarter line. Kieran Wallace to Gavin Allen. Strong defence needed here by Parramatta, and he's to the 4-2 mark. Horo right around the booties. Kieran Wallace a dummy, half to Langer again. Wide it goes to Miles, turns it back into Shearer, back again to Langer. Good pass to Gavin Allen, he sees a gap, goes through it, but though it closes up very quickly. Kieran Wallace a dummy, half to Dowling. Good pass to Kevin Wallace, charges the line like a missile, but he's thrown back, literally thrown back with 1 tackle left to go. Kieran Wallace a dummy, half to Langer, drops it on the end of the toe, and Laurie cleans up for the Parramatta side, but he's been ruled offside.
Yeah, and he was offside. There's Gene Miles again. Gee, for a captain, he gets involved in a lot of niggling things, and there was a hit there. Mark Laurie on the ground. He was offside. It was grubber kick through by the Brisbane side, by Alan Langer. It came off a Parramatta player, and then offside was Mark Laurie. The penalty had to be given, but then over the top came Willie Kahn, and then very, very late came Gene Miles.
Exactly.
Now, I've been saying for weeks that Gino is getting pretty edgy out there on the football field, and that was uncalled for. Easy kick for Dale Shearer. While he's lining it up, let's check the scores on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 14, South Sydney 4.
Brian Surtees.
4-2 in favour of North. No, it's 8 points to 2 with the kick to come.
Okay, 8-2 to the Bears. John Purnell.
Still 0-0, Canberra and Illawarra.
Phil Tressida.
Still 2-0. Canterbury 2, St George 0.
Okay, back here at Parramatta Stadium, it is a shot at goal for Dale Shearer.
Okay, he's about 15 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. 10 metres from the centre of the halfway line, looking for their first 2 points, the Brisbane side. If in fact Shearer can get it over the bar, the boos go up, the heckles go up, the ball goes up, the flag goes up, everything's going up.
Okay, and cost a living too. Okay, Dale Shearer with an easy penalty goal, but gee, struck it well. It was right between the posts. 8-2 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard after 25 minutes of play. Parramatta 8, lead Brisbane 2. Dale Shearer is having a great season with a boot, and with his general form, puts the Broncos on the board 8-2 in favour of Parramatta over the Brisbane Broncos. Restarted play by Glenn Lydiard. 14 minutes left of a magnificent first half here at Parramatta Stadium. The Eels remain leaders 8-2.
Lydiard gets it underway. It bounces off Gavin Allen straight into the arms this time of Kevin Wall as he goes down on one leg, tries to get up and go again, and falls short of his own quarter line. And G gives it across to Gavin Allen. He's wrapped up too by Horo once again. Kieran Waller's a dummy half. He picks up a man out wide in Paul Horfe. He starts to motor too, but he's taken by Sterling and company. Good tackle too. Back now it goes to Kieran Wallace to Langer. Out this time to Dowling. Getting a bit of a roll on now, these big Bronco forwards. Dowling's 10 short of the halfway line, still in Brisbane territory. As we see Langer now getting his kick downfield. Up over the head this time of Glenn Lydiard. And Lydiard's helpless. No, he's not. He's taken it about inches from the far touchline.
Well, it's imperative that Parramatta hang in there now. They've started the game well. They've got to keep this pace up. They've got to keep playing the Brisbane Broncos at their own game. They've got enough brilliant backs there. They've been pointed around the park. They've got to keep turning them around. Here's Kenny out wide, putting the ball back inside to Bell. He gets past Gavin Allen, but he's finally put down on a good strong tackle by Andrew G. But Parramatta, this is a vital period for them. They've got to consolidate.
Yes, it goes across to Sterling. Out this time to Langford. He has a look back to see if there was anyone in support. No one available. Plays it now to Matty Goodwin. Dummies tries to go from the back of the rack. Oh, and Dowling comes in to cream him. 10 metres short of the halfway line. One left to go. Barnes across to Sterling. A flick pass. It goes out to Lydiard, and he gets around the Wallers brothers. Gets a kick in downfield. It's a beauty too. It's turned big Paul Hoff right back into his own in goal. As he turns now, he'll just managed to get into the field of play by some 4-5 metres, and Jackson's there around his legs.
That's a big in-goal area, and it took him 2.5 steps to get out. It would take a normal player or a player of normal physique and legs. Oh, there's a drop ball now by Kevin Walters, a couple of metres out from his own goal line. You don't see that kid do that much. He's a professional, and he's under pressure there, and he lost the ball. Parramatta with a scrum feed, a couple of metres out, and a great opportunity for Sterling to put something on. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the old chestnut, the half to the lock.
Well, it's been won by Parramatta. Sterling picks it up, and he gets it to Kenny, shows it to Jackson. Kenny takes off. What can he do? He's 8 metres out now from the Brisbane goal line. He'll play it. Jason Bell's a dummy half. Good pass up now into the arms of Laurie. Got around Hone, but then taken by Andrew G. and Miles. And again, Miles fiddling in to play the ball. Barnes a dummy half to Sterling. Sterling stops, starts to go again. And they're all over him like a jar of cold cream. He's up the plate. The Barnes goes across to Lydiard. A wide pass out now to Jackson. Cry to Bartolo. Yes, cry to Bartolo.
And the Italian community really celebrate. Joey Bartolo is in for the try. Great pass by Jackson, and that started when the knock-on was made by Kevin Walters. It was Lydiard into the back line. He gave it to Jackson. Jackson got around Chris Johns, and he gave the ball to Bartolo, and he put the ball down despite the tackle of Willie Kahn. A great try to Parramatta, and the Eels certainly really matching Brisbane in the try-scoring paper this afternoon. A high tackle by Kahn, didn't have any effect on Bartolo, and the replacement winger has scored for Parramatta, and the Eels lead by 12 points to 2 in a magnificent performance. 29 minutes gone of the first half.
Okay, the kick now to be taken out wide. And boy, they're in all sorts of bother, the Broncos.
They'll come back, Greg.
I know they will. They're
They
a
will
great
come
side.
back. I wouldn't put them out of the game yet.
They've been corralled so far, but
Yeah, it's been a great performance from Parramatta, but you have to put in for the 80. I said if Parramatta could score in this vital period before half-time, well, they've got the upper hand. But don't forget there's still 10 minutes left. If Parramatta can keep the Broncos trailers in the remainder of this first half, they should win this vital game.
Okay, Glenn Lydiard right from the touchline, just behind the T-bar, 24 metres out, he comes in. Oh, it's an awful looking kick. I don't know what went flat. The front of his boot of the ball.
Well, the other two that he's kicked haven't been all that crash hot. They've been straight, but that's about all. 12-2 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Let's go round the grounds. Tony Peters.
Yeah, we've got a beauty here too. Cronulla 16, South Sydney 10.
16-10, Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 10 lead Western Suburbs 2.
John Purnell.
It's a battle royal here, still 0-all, Canberra and Illawarra.
Phil Tressida.
It's Canterbury 2, St George 0.
Okay, sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Super game by Lydiard, a good ball and another good one from Jackson.
Certainly was. Great try to Parramatta. They're in possession now. 18 metres out from their own goal line. They lead 12-2.
Yeah, Matty Goodwin carrying the leather forward for the Eels up to his own quarter line. He's knocked down centre field. Over the top by Dowling. Barnes across now to Mark Laurie trying to step one or two. Andrew G goes around the legs to knock him down after he picked up 5 metres for Parramatta. Barnes from the back of the ruck. He gets past Kieran Wallace, gets rid of Gavin Allen, but eventually he's taken over the top by Hone and Dowling. Dowling screaming at his pack of forwards. Sterling back to Laurie again. Laurie with another step and ducking under one or two. Kieran Wallace around the legs with Gavin Allen. Over the top, Barnes across to Matty Goodwin. Oh, dreadful pass. Coughed up possession, Andrew G for the Brisbane side. Gives it now into the arms of Gene Miles. I thought that was a forward pass from the ground.
Only a yard and a half. It was a yard and a half forward.
Back now to Dowling, and Dowling now up to the Parramatta quarter line. It goes across to Langer. Langer stops, has a look again, and he was going to offload, changes his mind as he goes to ground.
Lydiard's in trouble. Glenn Lydiard, the brilliant youngster, he's got a terrible hand injury. He's going straight from the field. There is a sign of blood there, and the kid, well, I think he's ripped the index finger away from where it should be. We'll check on that in a moment. I think he's ripped the webbing badly.
Back it goes this time to Gene Miles, and Miles knocked down. One tackle left to go there. 12 out from the Parramatta goal line. Langer drops it off the end of the toe. It's back into the in-goal area. Oh, Kenny again there, like Sterling before. Knocks it out the back door. Boy, you can't go wrong when you got them two boys back up there.
Certainly can't. Tony McGay checking on that injury now, and we'll bring you the news on that in a few moments. But he certainly is in a lot of trouble, that kid, and I think he split the webbing between his fingers, and that can be a terrible thing for any young player. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Exactly right, a lot of blood. He split the webbing in his finger. He's gone in to tape it up and maybe a couple of stitches, but he'll be back.
Okay, and Brisbane on the attack now. Vital period, 8 before half-time. They trail by 12-2.
Hoff knocked down just outside the Parramatta quarter line on tackle one. Hone charging forward now, and he gets up to the 22-metre strip. Parramatta into the ground. Gone back now to Kieran Wallace. Bad marker defence that time. Oh, but his pass goes into the arms of Drake for Parramatta. And confusion reigns as to who has got the football. He said no, Dowling has. Back to Hone, gives it out to Gene Miles. Miles tries to steamroller his way over the top of Sterling, but down he goes. Dowling at dummy half across now. Out it goes this time to Kevin Walters. Oh boy, and isn't he wrapped up with something to do?
He certainly is. Andrew leads on. Last tackle for the Broncos.
Over the top goes a shocking pass to Hancock. Juggles it. Gregovic tries to pick it up, and he does so. So we've got Parramatta now in possession of the football. And he's ruled a knock on.
Yeah, he's ruled a knock on now. What an exciting game this is here at Parramatta Stadium. 7 minutes out from half-time. 12-2 to the Parramatta side over Brisbane. Let's check the scores around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 16, South Sydney 10.
Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 10, Wests 2.
Okay, John Purnell at Bruce. Any score there?
No, 0-all here still, Peter.
Phil Tressida.
And it's still Canterbury 2, St George 0.
Okay, some tight ones around the grounds. The Broncos in possession on the Parramatta quarter. 6 minutes out from half-time. They're yet to score a try in this game.
Hone down on tackle two. Plays it to Kieran Wallace across now. It goes to Kevin Wallace. Is around one. Turns it back to Gene Miles. Miles tried to get rid of it. Fouled the ball. Turns it back to Kevin Wallace. Out to Langer. Langer has scored. Langer has scored for Brisbane right underneath the black dot here.
Yeah.
They stood up him, Peter.
They certainly did, and that's a vital try for the Broncos. They've been behind in this game from the 10th minute, but that was a good try on the last tackle. They ran it. They kept the ball alive. Beautiful play by Gene Miles. Kenny had him, but he just stood in the tackle, went again, gave the pass back inside to Kevin Walters, who was always backing up, and he looked inside, and the Ipswich connection was there. Kevin Walters to Alan Langer, and little Alfie scored for an easy position for Dale Shearer. I said you can't write them off. It's 12-6, it'll be 12-8, and they'll go to half-time, probably only 4 points down.
Well, the kick now to be taken by Dale Shearer, 11 metres out, smack dab in front, as I said. 12 points to 6 in favour of the Parramatta Eels over the Brisbane Broncos, and as Zorba said, he'll put this 2 over for sure, I feel, Dale Shearer.
Yeah, he certainly will, and 12-8 will be a score they'll cop because they've been comprehensively outplayed by Parramatta, 2 tries to 1 in the first half.
Shearer now having this ball lined up, referee directly behind him. This one will finish up in the Parramatta car park as he comes in now. He whacks the leather right up, but the flags go up and he's got the 2.
12 points to 8 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard in favour of Parramatta over Brisbane. Let's check them on that scoreboard for Footy Tab. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 16, South Sydney 12.
Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 10 lead Western Suburbs 2.
John Purnell.
0 Canberra and Illawarra.
Phil Tressida.
Canterbury 2, St George 0.
Okay, back now for the restart of play, and it's Parramatta to restart play via Andrew Leeds.
Yes, a high kick too. Langer goes back. He knocks it back towards his own goal line. Picked up by Willie Kahn. That was A-OK. Kahn knocked down now 12 metres out from his own goal line. Kevin Walters, a dummy half, trying to get away from Mark Horo. Can't do that. He's still pulled down, trapped inside his own quarter line. Now it's Mark Hone's turn from the back of the run. He's tucked it in. No way in the world he was going to let that one go, but he ran out of his own quarter. It goes to Langer to Dowling. Dowling charges forward. Forward pass ruled by the referee. Big Greg knows that too, so they're going to go back, and the scrum will go down. The feed to Parramatta, 24 metres out from the Brisbane goal line.
Well, Parramatta can again worry the Brisbane Broncos here in a great attacking position. Every time they've got inside the quarter, it's when Sterling comes to the fore. They'll win the scrum. Up the blind side goes Mark Laurie. I feel they're going to do that last time they won a scrum, but it came out too quickly and too hard.
Sterling, a dummy half, sends it across. Oh, Horo's copped up possession. Gene Miles reaches out to get it, and it's left for Langford to pull him down. He's hurt himself too, and he's pride, no doubt. Now it's Andrew G coming up to him, and the referee
what
says...
about the elbow there from Andrew G on Horo?
Well, he wasn't looking. He's just weaved them out, or waved them out of the 5.
Okay.
So he didn't see it.
He certainly didn't, but no doubt about it. And the kick to be taken now by Hoff. So Brisbane off the hook somewhat, trailing by only 4 points after they were down 12-2 after 29 minutes of this game.
Free kick to be taken now by Kieran Wallace. He gives it again back to Dowling. Dowling wants to go forward in a strong burst too. Eventually Goodwin knocking him down with Horo. Plays it back to Kieran Wallace across to Gavin Allen again, hitting it up strongly right up towards the Parramatta quarter line. He goes. Drake the tackler. Back it goes to Kieran Wallace, to Langer, to Kevin Wallace again. They've got numbers out wide. He bounces off Peter Sterling. Can't get away from Langford's tackle. Right around the legs to pull him down on the Parramatta quarter line. He plays it to Kieran Wallace across to Dowling. Dowling charging forward. Tries to step 1 or 2 again. But Horo's over the top to stop that run. Kieran Wallace, a dummy half back to Gene Miles. Good pass to Kevin Wallace. Kevin Wallace around 1 or 2. He keeps it alive through Langer. Langer offloads to Gavin Allen across to Mark Hone. Hone shaping up to do things, but he's pulled down with 1 left to go. Now Kieran Wallace is a dummy half. He gives it to Langer again. They drop it off the end of the toe straight into the arms of Matty Goodwin. Goodwin fends off one, but eventually he's picked up in a bit of a chase from behind by Gavin Allen.
Okay, scoreline here, 12 points to 8. Parramatta, 2 minutes out from half-time, hanging on. Let's check those scores around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 16, South 12, half-time.
Okay, Brian Surtees.
Yes, it's North Sydney 10 lead Western Suburbs 2, also at half-time.
John Purnell.
Half-time, Canberra 4, Illawarra no score.
Phil Tressida.
Half-time, Canterbury Bankstown 2, St George 0.
Okay, we've been round the grounds 10 times in the first half. I see in the Telegraph this morning, in a new columnist there, the Auctioneer's got a column. Everyone's got a column now in the Telegraph. Thank God that Ray Chesterton's still there. Russell Fairfax, Paul Vorton, John Harker, and now the Auctioneer. Are they going to get the winners? Except Chesterton, they better hurry up.
Back it
Strike
goes.
me. Losers paradise.
Back it goes now to...
How are you, Reg?
Kevin Wallace goes across now into the arms of Hancock. He passes back to Andrew G. G takes off. He offloads now to Dale Shearer. Shearer gets out of the blocks, not fast enough from behind. And we've got Jason Bell pulling him down. Back now to Kieran Wallace, across to Alfie Langer. Langer goes forward, offloads to Kieran Wallace. Back now to Dale Shearer. Does a 360. The gaps have opened up. Can't get around Peter Sterling. And Sterling's there, last line of defence to pull him down. They're on fire now, the Brisbane side. Dowling back to Gene Miles. It goes across now to Willie Kahn. Back it goes to Kevin Wallace. Up over the top this time to Kieran Wallace. Wallace tries to go this time. Kieran to the ground. He'll play it to Willie Kahn. Oh, he's knocked on Willie Kahn. No, you can't run after that, son. So the scrum now will
12
go down.
points to 8, right on half-time, and the Broncos are storming home.
Yep.
I don't know if Parramatta
On
can
fire.
hang on in this game. The Broncos look awesome, and if they can come back from that 12-2 deficit and win this game, there's half-time, and it is 12 points to 8 at half-time in favour of Parramatta over the Broncos. For Parramatta, Jason Bell and Joe Bartolo tries. 2 from 3 to Glenn Lydiard. For Brisbane, a try to Alan Langer. And 2 from 2 for Dale Shearer. The scrums in the first half are 4-2 to the Brisbane side, and the penalties are 3-2 to Brisbane. Let's hop straight into those half-time summaries. Let's go to Tony Peters at the Sydney Football Stadium.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Cronulla 16 are leading South Sydney 12 for Cronulla. Jonathan Docking has scored 2 tries, and Gavin Miller has scored a try, and Matthew Corkery has kicked 2 goals from 4 attempts. For South Sydney, Graham Lyons and Phil Blake have each scored tries, and Charlie Saab has piloted 2 goals from 3 attempts. The scrums are 3-all, the penalties are 3-all. Well, the fireworks that we expected here at the football stadium haven't eventuated so far. Instead, we've seen one of the most entertaining 40 minutes you could ever wish to see in a football match. Don't miss the highlights tonight in the news. 4 of the 5 tries scored so far are among the best you could ever wish to see. Cronulla were on fire in the opening 20 minutes, scoring their 3 tries. Gavin Miller has been the instigator of everything good about Cronulla today. He laid on the first try after just 5 minutes with some help from Laurie Spooner for Jonathan Docking, and then a couple of minutes later, South Sydney, starting to show touches of last year's form, hit back with a very well-rehearsed try. Phil Blake kicked for the vacant corner, and winger Graham Lyons got the bounce to score, but a lot of people may have thought it looked suspiciously close to offside, but it didn't matter. The lead-up, the preparation was very smart. And then after 16 minutes came my version of the Grace Brothers try of the round. A try to remember this one, and if you get a chance, don't miss it tonight on the news. An absolute beauty. It was very cleverly started by a Michael Speechley kick-through. Mark McGaw got the bounce. He linked up with Jonathan Docking. Laurie Spooner joined in before the old veteran Gavin Miller loomed up, and those tight old legs were just good enough to get across to the line. An absolutely gem of a try. Try to see it tonight. It's well worthwhile seeing. Cronulla attacked relentlessly, and they went in again shortly afterwards when Michael Speechley did the lead-up work for Jonathan Docking to score his second try. But South Sydney not lying down today. The Rabbitohs showing plenty of spirit, played very, very strongly. And the old Phil Blake magic came back. The little kick and chase over the top. Blakey was in under the post before anybody from Cronulla knew what was going on, and Souths were back in business. 16-12, a very interesting game here, and South Sydney are right in this particular game, and Cronulla are going to have to work very, very hard to win it. The reserve grade went to South Sydney by 15 points to 6. The President's Cup also to South 21-14, and just repeating in half-time in a very entertaining game, Cronulla 16, South Sydney 12.
Okay, let's go down to our sideline. Tony McGay has got some news on young Glenn Lydiard. Tony.
Bad news on Lydiard, Peter. He's got a badly smashed finger. Apparently the bone come right through the skin. He's out of the match.
Okay, that's tough luck. So he's out of the match, Glenn Lydiard. The bone has come through the finger, and he is out of the match, Glenn Lydiard. That's a terrible blow. He's their goal kicker, and he's been playing brilliantly. Okay, let's go to Brian Surtees at Campbelltown.
Where North Sydney is leading Western Suburbs by 10 points to 2 in the hope of keeping their flickering semi-final hopes alive. For North Sydney, Peter McPhail the try, and Paul Conlon 3 goals from 3 attempts. For Western Suburbs, Jason Taylor has landed 1 penalty goal from 1 attempt. The half-time scrums favour Western Suburbs by 4-3. The penalties favour Western Suburbs by 5-3 in a match which the defence has overshadowed the attack. Bruising defence from both teams, both packs in particular. Bob Linder was flattened with a high tackle after only 6 minutes of play, and then 4 minutes from half-time we saw a heavy Linder tackle put Mark Sowden taken the dashing little halfback from North Sydney out of the game. It appeared to be either a shoulder or an arm injury, and John MacArthur came on to take his place. There's been some excellent defence by both sides, some good kicking, which has kept North Sydney busy from Ivan Henjak. All in all, it's anybody's game still, with the first points coming after 5 minutes when Jason Taylor booted a long-range 40-metre penalty goal. Only 3 minutes later, Paul Conlon was on target, and it was 2-2. Then after 17 minutes, Conlon again, 4 points to 2. Peter McPhail scored after some great lead-up work by Tony Ray, who's having a very busy game. He got the ball from a misdirected Western Suburbs pass, slipped it to Soden. He put in some fancy footwork, sent it to the backing up McPhail, who scored adjacent to the upright, in a handy position for Conlon to convert. 10-2 in favour of North Sydney over Western Suburbs in a very, very hard game at Campbelltown. The reserve grade game was won by North Sydney by 20 points to 6. It was 24-all in President's Cup.
John Purnell in Canberra, an unusual tight game there.
Yes, indeed, quite a tight one here at half-time at Bruce Stadium here in Canberra. Canberra 4 lead Illawarra no score. Scorers for Canberra were Johnny Ferguson a try, and Meninga has had no conversions from 2 attempts. The scrums favour Canberra by 8-3, and the penalties favour Canberra by 6-5. And the bad news for Canberra was that Laurie Daly has left the field with a recurring hamstring problem about 10 minutes before the end of half-time. He's been replaced by Chrissy O'Sullivan. That's certainly bad news for the Canberra team. Well, the game is being played at a hectic pace as both teams have pressed one another's lines for lengthy periods of the first half. It was the Steelers who took the game to the Raiders for the first 15 minutes and almost scored, with Walsh, Russell and Kissel doing some hard running and tackling. Then the game turned and it was Canberra's turn to press Illawarra's line, and it was only some desperate defence by the Steelers that kept the Raiders out, but they managed to do so. Some good clearing kicks by Illawarra got them out of trouble, and the game started to seesaw again. But in the last 10 minutes of the first half, Canberra started to really fire, and they ran a try in right on half-time bell. A scrum win by Canberra about 10 metres out saw the back line swing into action. It touched every player. They created the extra man with Phil Carey doing some excellent work, and then putting Johnny Ferguson through a gap into the first try, and I think that might have lifted the Raiders, and I'm sure they're going to come out champing at the bit for the second half. But if the Steelers can keep up the pace and the pressure that they're putting the Canberra team under, we certainly could be in for an interesting game here this afternoon. The best for Canberra so far are Belcher, Todd, Lazarus and Stewart, and for Illawarra, Walsh, Russell, Smith and Ebber doing their best. In reserve grade, it was a win to Canberra by 14 points to 8, and President's Cup, Canberra got up by 40 points to 14. Repeating the half-time score, Canberra 4, Illawarra no score.
Phil Tressida at Cogra Oval.
Yes, well, just a penalty goal separates these two teams. Canterbury Bankstown leads St George 2 points to 0 at half-time. Terry Lamb kicked the goal for Canterbury in the 15th minute and from a wide angle. The scrums favour Canterbury 5-3, and the penalties have gone St George's way 8-6. Well, as we predicted, not a struck match between these two teams in what's been a rugged and mainly unspectacular first half. Canterbury have had the best of the match territorially, but the St George defence has stubbornly kept them out. Canterbury have lacked ideas in attack, and their forwards have been guilty a little of running one out. St George, on the other hand, have looked more penetrative when they've worked their way into Canterbury territory, and they came close to a try at least on one occasion. Ricky Walford was involved in one smart piece of play on the left flank that ended up beside the corner flag. The tackling has been keen and efficient on both sides. Nobody more effective than Langmack and Gillies of Canterbury Bankstown and Elliott and Bailey of St George. Brad Mackay and Terry Lamb have had a keen contest at 5'8". In attack, they've really cancelled each other out, and in defence, both have done a lot of hard labour. The young Canterbury centre, Andrew Patmore, made one long searching run, and for him it's been a fairly solid debut so far. Well, the scores again, Canterbury leading St George 2 points to 0 at half-time. In the lower grades, St George defeated Canterbury 20-12. The President's Cup went to Canterbury Bankstown 14-10.
Okay, half-time here. Parramatta 12 lead Brisbane 8. Sensational game of football. Let's take a break, and then Auto Village Holden Liquor Stop, Tooheys and LJ Hooker will bring you the second half of this thrilling match of the day out of Parramatta Stadium.
You should shop at the liquor stop.
Shop and save every week at your local liquor stop store. Ballantine Scotch, $18.99. 4 litre Orlando wine casks, $6.99. Hardy's Tall Ship Port, $5.99 and Siegersdorf Riesling and Chardonnay $7.99. Check the yellow pages for the location of your nearest liquor stop outlet. Stop, shop and save every week at your local liquor stop store.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you. LJ Hooker, you're the best.
Whether you're buying or selling, talk to LJ Hooker.
Nobody does it better. LJ Hooker, you're the best.
If you're a fleet buyer and you're thinking about new cars, make sure you get a quote from Auto Village Holden.
Auto Village will come to your office and give you a valuation on the vehicles you have to trade.
They have the full range of General Motors Holden models available for immediate delivery.
Auto Village prices are the cheapest and the trade-ins are the biggest.
Auto Village Holden, 266 Hume Highway at Parramatta.
Call them on 728-7333.
Auto Village for the right service and the right price.
What makes world champion surfer Barton Lynch feel good?
Nothing's better than being out in the surf and watching the sunrise with your mates. You know, sitting out there, getting that perfect set wave, that's a feeling you can't replace that one. Surfing a 20-foot swell and surviving, you know, that feels great. I'll tell you what feels really good. That's an ice cold Tooheys after a hard day surfing. Nothing beats it.
Tooheys Draft. Real taste, real beer.
On 2GB News Talk 873. League 90 is brought to you by LJ Hooker, Auto Village Holden, Liquor Stop and Tooheys. Here's the Decibel Duo, Greg Hartley and Peter Peters.
Welcome back to Parramatta Stadium, where the fans and around about 18,000 this afternoon have been watching what has been a sensational game of football. Been a terrific game. 2 tries to 1 to Parramatta in the first half, but I still get the impression that the Broncos will come home strongly in this second half. They're down 12-8. They were down 12-2, and then they put a try on. Gene Miles put it on for Alan Langer and converted by Shearer, and they were hammering away at Parramatta late in that first half. But Parramatta have done a grand job. I don't know whether they've got enough petrol left. If they can score first in the second half, then there may be a chance of bringing off a stunning upset here, and that would certainly throw the cat amongst the pigeons in the Winfield Cup, because there are some scorelines around the grounds that, Canberra are in front by only 4-0, and Canterbury 2-0 over St George, so there could be further upsets. Cronulla aren't home yet against South Sydney, and that Western North game, North Sydney look like keeping alive their semi-final hopes. So it's an interesting round this afternoon. Parramatta playing their part here. This is do or die for them. They've got 40 minutes left in this game to consolidate and maybe kick away from the Broncos. Another converted try might do the job, but Peter Sterling's going to have to drive them in the second half. They've lost Lydiard for the second half. That's a body blow, because he was vitally involved in the first try. A brilliant bit of football from him, and he was involved in the try to Bartolo. So they've lost one of their major weapons this afternoon. He's not coming out from the second half, but here comes Peter Sterling, and listen to the fans roar their approval here at Parramatta Stadium. Sterlo back at Parramatta and engineering a wonderful effort from the team. And he's just had a practice kick downfield, and he's found touch, I don't have to tell you. Sideline Tony McGay.
Well, the news on Lydiard will be out for a couple of weeks. It's a pretty bad break on the Brisbane side of it. Gavin Allen's got a slight leg injury. Madison standing by. They're giving him 15 minutes.
Okay, Brett Kenny strolling on now, and only one player behind him, and that's Mark Barnes. But Brett Kenny looks as though he's out for a Sunday stroll. His defence today has been spectacular for Parramatta. Here come the Broncos, led by Big Gene Miles. This is going to be a terrific second half here, uninterrupted from those fabulous people at Auto Village Holden, Liquor Stop, Tooheys and LJ Hooker.
Yes, Peter, it's going to be a great half, and it's a shame that they've lost this young fellow, Glenn Lydiard. As you said, he featured very prominently in the first half, and he's certainly going to be missed. So now Andrew Leeds gets his chance to see what he can do in the next 40 minutes, and as you said, it's going to be on for young and old. I pointed out to a few fellows in the press room, we were talking about that discussion we had about Gene Miles and some of the things that he's getting away with, particularly in the rucks and late tackles, and I think there's got to be a little bit of concern from the referees, not only with Gino, but with all of these people getting into that caper.
Okay, so here we go for the second half here at Parramatta Stadium. There's the restart of play.
Peter Sterling allows it to go past him. Oh, Danny Krankovic goes back. He stops it just before it goes over touch in goal. Manages to get... Oh, no, he's touched in goal now. He's got him.
Goal.
He's got him, the far touch judge on that side.
And he is talking to the player. Now, that's ridiculous. He's only got to put his flag up. Now, Now, the player has said something to him, and he's gone back and said, you put your foot out. And he had an aggro look on him. Those touch judges have got to shut up. They can't abuse the players like that. All he's got to do is wave his flag. But he had something to say to Krinkovic there. And I don't doubt that Krinkovic said something to him, but they've got to shut their traps.
Now we've got Miles in possession after the goal line drop out. He's caught just outside the Parramatta quarter line.
Red flag's a big mouth, whoever he is.
Mark Holmes charging forward down into the Parramatta quarter area. Back it goes to Kieran Waller's out this time to Dowling. Dowling only 10 metres away from the Eels goal line. They're in a bit of bother now, the blue and golds. Kieran Waller's, it goes out the Langer to Miles again. He's dangerous there, but he's taken by Horo over the top, ball and all. In a smothered tackle, up quickly to play it to Hoff. Oh, he takes off to the big man from the back of the ruck, still going, and oh, he's only a metre away from the Parramatta goal line. They've got one tackle left to go, the Brisbane Broncos. Kieran Wallace sends it back to Langer. Langer puts a high kick up, plenty of pressure on then everyone in that in-goal area, and Peter Sterling, and so is Leeds up, and Leeds just manages to take the football, and it's back to the quarter line for the recommencement.
Well, a lot of pressure that Parramatta put on themselves, and certainly they're going to have to take a lot of that in the second half. Gee, I'm concerned, Greg. They're inside the area there.
They were only 6 metres from that line. It was a dead set penalty. There was no advantage to Parramatta there other than the penalty to recommence play.
Okay, I'm concerned at the touch judges sledging the players. I've seen it here this afternoon, and that's something that the referees have got to take criticism for, and there should be an inquiry into it. And they've only got to look at the tape less than 30 seconds into the second half to see evidence of it.
Oh, great pass to Joe Bartolo. He's up, and he's got a speedster on the inside. He's trying to step one or two, but he's pulled down now. Some 15 metres out from the Brisbane goal line. Back now it goes to Jackson. Good pass out now to Andrew Leeds with a bit of a step too. He's through the gap, Andrew Leeds. Oh, he didn't look on the outside. He had Danny Krinkovic wide. One tackle left to go. Krinkovic at dummy half across to Peter Sterling. Same pressure applies now. Laurie, it's a try to Parramatta. Well, Mark Murray goes up off the kick of Peter Sterling, and the Eels score.
On the sixth tackle, Parramatta has scored a great try, and the little general has done it again. What an absolute genius. He put the kick up, and Laurie was out there lurking. He never took his eyes off it, and the Broncos were terribly out of position. It was a marvellous try, simply executed when you've got a player like Sterling to do it. And Mark Laurie took it on the full and jubilantly dived over in the corner. That try coming 3 minutes into the second half, and the Eels go to a lead of 16 points to 8. What a great try. What a great game.
Now we've got Leeds to do the job to see if he can kick this one. He's 5 metres in from touch, and he's shade inside the Brisbane quarter line.
Jackson.
Lydiard's been doing the tackling, as you're aware, but he's in with a hand injury. Won't be back for the second half. A lot of pressure on him. We've got Paul Hoff, who's a bit crook too.
Yeah, he's limping, the big fella. I think Parramatta has got an unexpected bonus with, I don't think Lydiard can kick goals like this fellow can. I'm not saying he can kick this, but he'll give it a shake. Lydiard's from the sideline, he couldn't get the distance. Okay, it is Jackson on for the Brisbane Broncos now. Peter Jackson. Score remains Parramatta 16, the enemy 8. Let's check the scores around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla going in under the pace. Cronulla 24, the enemy 12, South 12.
Okay, Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 10 still lead Western Suburbs 2.
John Purnell.
Canberra 6, Illawarra 4.
Phil Tressida.
No change. Canterbury 2, St George 0.
Kevin Taylor.
Collingwood 91, lead the Sydney Swans 61.
Okay, back at Parramatta Stadium now. It's Andrew Leeds in possession of the football. They lead by 16 points to 8 on the Mitsubishi Electric scoreboard. The Eels have scored 3 tries to 1, and they are on fire.
Back now it goes to Goodwin, up the plate on his own quarter line. It goes to Barnes, across to Laurie again. And Laurie picks up 6 metres or so for the Parramatta side. Barnes at dummy half, trying to get away from Big Gene Miles. Again, picking up another 4 metres or 5 for the Parramatta side. Sterling's at dummy half. He gives it back to Matty Goodwin again. Tries to go over the top of Andrew G. But he's knocked to the ground 8 metres short of the halfway line. Back now it goes to Peter Sterling. A long pass out to Jackson. Turns it inside to Kenny. Flicks it back once again to Peter Sterling. And Sterlo gets an awkward looking kick downfield. It's an A-grade bounce. Goes over the touchline just outside the the Broncos quarter line.
Well, there's a lagoon here in Parramatta Park. He could go and walk on it, Sturlo. The referee missed a blatant forward pass there, but this Parramatta pack, they're starting to grow in status. There's some cheap yards up the centre. The soft underbelly of the Brisbane Broncos is still alive and well. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, Hawth for a play, Shearer to full-back, Jackson into the centre.
Okay, Hawth off, Shearer to full-back, and this man now, Jackson to the centre three-quarter position. The Broncos in trouble, down by 16 points to 8.
Andrew G charging forward, had a look back for support, none available. 10 short of the halfway line in Brisbane territory. Kieran Wallace a dummy half across to Mark Hone. He shapes up, goes forward, offloads back to Kieran Wallace to Langer. Langer goes straight to the ground, 8 metres short of the halfway line. Plays it to Kieran Wallace, and a bit of a fumble at the back of the ruck. Andrew G going on it, and the ball has been stolen. Parramatta in possession.
Mark Horo's got it for the Eels. The Broncos making a lot of mistakes now, and Parramatta sensing that they can go in for the kill.
Kenny giving a ball back this time to Jackson. Jackson comes through one gap, has a look, turns it back inside to Laurie. He picks up Danny Krankovic. He goes up now to the Brisbane quarter line, and he's knocked to the ground.
The crowd going mad here, this Parramatta crowd. The Broncos, and now Parramatta. Look at Matty Goodwin go, like a runaway steam train. He's 8 metres out.
Back now to Peter Sterling, sends it across to Laurie. He dummies, changes direction, still going, and again finds himself 2 metres short of the Brisbane goal line.
Well, a field goal would be handy if they can't pick the try up.
Jason Bell trying to make some ground. Oh, he throws a dreadful pass, picked up by Hone on the outside, and Brisbane get out of all sorts of bother. They're 18 metres out from their own goal line. Back it goes now to Langer. Langer tries to settle things down. He steps away from one, but eventually he's knocked down by Peter Sterling, centre field on the Brisbane quarter line.
Well, the Brisbane forwards have locked up shop. I mean, there's Chris Johns taking it away. There's not too many of the forwards. There's they bypassed Jackson there, and finally it's is that Mark Hone?
Gavin Allen it is.
Gavin Allen, but gee, missing in action these Broncos forwards.
Dowling now charging forward. He'll lead by example, and the big man has stopped too before he can get to the halfway line. Still in Bronco territory. Kieran Wallace, a dummy half, gives it back now into the arms of Dale Shearer. He's put a headgear on or something around his melon to hold the ears in, but beautifully taken by Andy Leeds. Back on his own quarter line.
Terry
He's
Madison
immediately knocked down.
Terry Madison to the sideline for the Broncos, so they need an injection from somewhere. Parramatta making plenty of yards up the centre of the ground. They lead by 16 points to 8. 8 minutes gone in the second half. We're in for a beauty. And Parramatta now through Barnes.
Yeah, to Krankovic, and he tries to get up towards the halfway line, but he's knocked down 9 short of it. Up the play at Barnes, and too much in the play. The ball from Andrew G. Penalty to Parramatta.
Okay, scoreline here, 16 to 8. Let's check them for footy tab on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 26, South Sydney 12.
Brian Shetty.
North Sydney 10, Western Suburbs 2.
John Purnell.
Canberra 6, Illawarra 4.
Phil Tressida.
It's 2-2, St George and Canterbury Bankstown.
Kevin Taylor.
And it's Collingwood 93 leading Sydney 67.
Okay, back at Parramatta Stadium now. They've found the sideline. Andrew G off and Terry Madison on.
Danny Krankovic straight into the defensive line of Brisbane and immediately knocked down by Dowling. Back it goes now into the arms of Langford charging forward. They try to reef away possession, but he manages to hang on to the football. Plays it back to Barnes, goes across now to Greg Drake charging forward. Right up towards the Brisbane quarter line, still going. Oh, he flicked it back to Kieran Wallace, out now to Miles. Across to Kevin Wallace, he breaks one, still has a look back, can't get rid of the football, and he's knocked down 24 metres out from the Brisbane goal line.
Silly pass by Drake. They were under the post. They were in a great position for... Sterling, the little champion, goes up and he barrels the big fellow Greg Dowling.
Back now it goes to Shearer. Shearer stops, starts, tries to go again. Langford's got hold of him and they give him a serve too.
If that doesn't inspire Parramatta, nothing will.
Back now to Kieran Wallace. He offloads to Shearer again. Gets it wide out to Gavin Allen and then on to Peter Jackson, but he's got his legs chopped from under him. Shearer from the back of the ruck takes off. Oh, and Kenny comes at him, but he was in an offside position, Brett Kenny.
Yeah, he certainly was, and there's a bit of trouble out here now. Miles and Sterling, the two champions, just eyeing each other off there, and Miles kept him away, and the touch judge not even going in there. The referee's got control. Parramatta in trouble there. Sterling made one beautiful tackle, then Kenny made two. Kenny had hold of Dale Shearer, put him down, and Shearer's come back at him with a slap on the back of the head, and Peter Sterling went at Shearer. Shearer and Miles don't like being tackled.
Back now with the free kick straight to Kieran Wallace. He gives it to Willie Kahn. He takes off, but he's going to be taken by Drake on the Parramatta quarter line. Kieran Waller's a dummy half to Gavin Allen. He shapes up. Barnes has got hold of him before he could offload centre field. Still a shade over the quarter line in Parramatta territory. Dowling turns his attention to Langer, who offloads wide to Jackson. Jackson's pass is a mile forward, and the referee allows it to go. But
well, Gibbon beaming for him after that.
Back now, it's Hancock playing it to Miles. Dangerous here. Miles gives it back down to Jackson. Steps one or two. Rolls over and he finds himself 1 metre short of the Parramatta goal line. Up the plat. Kieran Waller's a dummy half. The pass is a shocker. Kevin Wallace can't pick it up. Hone has, but the referee has got the knock on.
Well, I'm glad he got that because he's missed a couple of forward passes that
Tell me.
They were as blatant as Dolly Parton's eyes. I mean, that's just ridiculous. An absolute blatant forward pass.
Yep. Okay, you couldn't get more forward than she is. Back now, we've got Parramatta scrum win. Out now to Kenny. Kenny gives it across to Bell. Jason Bell taken this time by Peter Jackson and eventually pulled to the ground. Danny Krankovic, a dummy half.
11 minutes gone in the second half. Parramatta 16, Brisbane 8.
Joe Bartolo trying to struggle up to his own quarter line before he's put down on the far side by Miles. He plays it now to Leeds, goes across to Langford, puts his head down. Gavin Allen and Hone coming over the top of him to put him on down on his own quarter line. Barnes gives it across now, out to Matty Goodwin, and Goodwin picks up a valuable 10 metres for the Eels before going down on the 30-metre line. And now we've got Barnes from the back of the ruck. He gets rid of one, picks up another 10, one tackle left to go. 9 short of the halfway line. Matty Goodwin giving it back to Andrew Leeds. He puts a high ball up, going across the far side of the ground and taken by Hancock for the Brisbane side. Tries to step one or two, runs into a bit of bother, bounces off one, still going. Strong run from Hancock, but he's pulled down 8 short of the halfway line.
Parramatta 16, lead Brisbane 8, 3 tries to 1, but the Broncos ad-libbing at the moment. They're in a bunch, their forwards aren't working, and anyone that says this Broncos side hasn't got a soft underbelly, well, they don't know anything about the game. The Broncos, I don't think, can win the comp with this pack of forwards.
Back now it goes to Kieran Wallace across to Mark Hone. Bounces off one. Kenny's got hold of him. Kenny's reached out possession. They scramble for it. And the referee says the advantage to the Eels. That's going to be a penalty kick now. Buzz off, he says. Hit the frog. Hit the frog.
Yeah, certainly, and to play the ball there, Kieran Walters was struggling in the play the ball after Parramatta fell on the football. 16-8 here. Let's check them around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 26, South Sydney 12.
Brian Surtees.
North Sydney still leading West 10-2.
John Purnell.
Canberra 6, Illawarra 4.
Phil Tressida.
2 all, St George and Canterbury Bankstown.
Kevin Taylor.
Swan still in it, Collingwood 94, Sydney 74.
Okay, back at Parramatta now. We've got Bartolo just caught outside the Brisbane Broncos quarter line. If the Eels can score again, they're going to bring off a fabulous victory here at Parramatta Stadium. They lead by 16-8.
Barnes now passing across to Brett Kenny, trying to step 1 or 2 miles. Beautiful tackle right around the legs to bring Kenny down. It's played to Barnes again. He gives it out to Laurie. Laurie tries to go forward. Hones over the top, and little Alfie Langer down around the booties.
Peter Wynn to the sideline. I think Drake will be the one that comes off, and here's Sterling jazzing his way through.
Oh, through 1 or 2, still going. He looked back to offload. He had Laurie with him. He wasn't held. He gets up the go. Gets trying to Parramatta. They stood off him. The little man went again. Talk about jumping off. What a great try to please Sterling. Bye-bye, Broncos.
Well, what a great try by Sterling. The little fellow's done it all. He stepped inside Gene Miles. He got away from Hone. He got away from Langer. And he went. And he went. He was put down. He wasn't held. He simply got up and went again. And he's wrapped it up for the Eels. The little champions dived in. And what a spectacular try. And he wasn't held. There can be no grumbling about that try. Sterling was not held by Dowling. He let go of him. And he simply got up and went again. And went in for the match winner. 20 points to 8. And listen to the crowd. Give the little champion the ovation. Ah, they might be Miss Piggy without him, but they turn into Miss World whenever he plays. What a champion, what a try, and what a game.
Okay, Andy Leeds now 10 metres out from the Brisbane line. Shell shock back in the bunker, the Brisbane Broncos. Leeds a little to the right hand upright, kicking towards the Parramatta Leagues club end. And this will probably put the nail into the coffin if Leedsy can put it over. Come on, Andy, put it over, boys. He comes in now, he whacks it up, and he's got the 2 points.
22 points to 8 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard in favour of Parramatta. This is taking on a mauling here at Parramatta Stadium. The competition leaders, the Broncos, who have won 10 straight, look like going under the guillotine here this afternoon at Parramatta Stadium. 4 tries to 1 with Leeds converting. A brilliant individual try by P. Skirling, Esquire. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
There goes the minor premiership probably. Are they false favourites?
Well, certainly their forwards today have absolutely been blitzed by a very keen Parramatta side. But whenever Sterling's there, they grow another leg. 22 points to 8.
Matty Goodwin up the plate to Barnes. Across now to Peter Wynn. He'll cause some havoc too. He offloads immediately out this time to Andrew Leeds, who goes for another gallop of 15 metres or so. Plays it to Barnes, across now to Peter Wynn again, wanting to get right into this rip and tear, Big Petey.
Well, I can't understand why he's not in the side from the start. He ignited them when he came on last week. Here's Barnes from dummy half. Oh, they're gone missing in action. The Broncos, soft underbelly. It's Jelly Belly.
Back now it goes to Andrew Leeds. He's kicked downfield. It's turned Willie Carr around for a bit of a run, right back towards his own goal line. He's in there now. They've got to pin him down. They go up there and he is knocked to the ground centimetres out from his own goal line.
He's overrated too. He's not real crash shot away from Lang Park.
Oh, Johns nearly got it. Oh, Johns goes back into the in goal. Well, talk about a bunker.
Well, they've barreled them there. There was Mark Laurie and Matty Goodwin. 2 great performers this afternoon. Ah, this is classic. Don't miss this tonight on Channel 10. This is a beauty if you're a rugby league supporter. The Broncos getting a hammering, and I love it. Listen to the crowd. They're igniting them here. They won't be denied today. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
They're going to hammer the nail in a minute.
They certainly are. I think it's hammered in. I think they're just going to put the lid on the coffin.
Now back with Krankovic trying to go forward. He's taken over the top that time.
I don't believe this is the same side that Penrith beat in the most boring match of the year at Penrith Park last Sunday. Let's check the scores around the grounds on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters.
Vintage Gavin Miller. Cronulla 30 with a kick to come. South 12.
Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 10, West 2.
John Purnell.
Canberra 6, Illawarra 4.
Phil Tressida.
Canterbury 2, St George 2.
Kevin Taylor.
At three-quarter time, Collingwood 102, leads Sydney 74.
Okay, back at Parramatta Stadium, the Broncos in possession, but they aren't going anywhere.
Kieran Wallace a dummy half across to Mark Hone. He dropped his shoulder into one of the Eels defenders, but is pulled to the ground. He gets up the plate again. Kieran Wallace makes a classic break downfield. Terry Madison now. He takes off the chasers on. Madison's going to make it. Oh, that's a good try to Brisbane. That is a ripper of a try to Brisbane. Plasticine defence that time from Parramatta.
Well, a great burst by Kerrod Walters, but I put a question mark on the pass from Kerrod Walters to Terry Madison. He went through the gap beautifully, and the pass to Madison.
No, it was just there, just okay.
Oh, well, I have always thought you were blind. I know so now.
Benefit of the doubt.
I think it was a half a yard forward.
No, half a yard.
I'm having a look at it again on the Channel 10 replay. It's a head-on shot, so it doesn't tell. But I reckon it was a half a yard forward. No matter. Anyway, it's been given. Madison scored the try, but you have a look at it tonight. I've got no doubts that it was forward.
Okay, the kick to come. I'm not going to change your mind.
You're certainly not.
I'm certainly not.
You're certainly not. People with some brains would, not sawdust.
Dale Shearer, I like that pub. Jeez, a good drop out there.
Yeah, I know. You're a life member.
I hope so.
You're full of it.
I'm waiting for me badge to arrive. Dale Shearer, 11 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. That was a softie, boys. Don't let him do that to you again. As he comes in now. Bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Straight over the dot for 2.
Okay, 22 points to 12 with Shearer converting the try scored by Terry Madison. So, Dale Shearer makes it 3 from 3 this afternoon. The scoreline 22-12, so it's not over yet here at Parramatta Stadium. Let's check them around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 30, South Sydney 12.
Brian Surtees.
It's North Sydney 14 with a kick to come, leading West 2.
John Purnell.
Canberra 6, Illawarra 4.
Phil Tressida.
St George 3, Canterbury Bankstown 2.
St George 3, Canterbury 2. How tight's that? Okay, the Broncos in possession now from the kickoff, and it is Gene Miles in possession. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
What about this crowd? That Madison try, deathly silence.
Yes, deathly silence for it. The question mark about the pass, but it's 6 points to the Broncos and 22 points to 14 here on the Mitsubishi scoreboard.
Back now it goes across into the arms of Kevin Walters. Back to Jackson. Jackson keeps it alive to Dale Shearer. A good step. but he's taken by Barnes now, but he offloads back now to Kevin Wallace again. Horo comes at him, he bounces off him, and they all come in over the top of him to put him down 10 short of the halfway line in Brisbane territory. Kieran Wallace back now to Dale Shearer. He gets his kick downfield, forcing Leeds to go right back into his own in goal to take the ball. He does a 360 and he's going to get out into the field of play. Strong defence too, right around the legs, brings him down 6 metres from his own goal line.
20 minutes remaining in this one. There are 8 points the difference, and the Broncos coming on strongly now. It's Parramatta 22 lead the Brisbane Broncos 14, 4 tries to 2. 2 tries the difference here.
Danny Krankovic playing the ball back to Bell. He gives it across now to Peter Wynn. Peter Wynn picks up 10 metres for the Eels before being knocked to the ground. Back now to Kenny at dummy half. He gives it across this time to Langford, and Langford manages to get outside of his own quarter line before being pulled down. He plays it once again to Kenny. Back it goes to Leeds, and Leeds gets a long kick downfield. Taken this time by Dale Shearer. He picks it up, comes back down towards the halfway line, gets over it some 5 metres or so before he's knocked down on the far side by Krankovic. Now Hancock's a dummy half to Kevin Wallace. Hancock on the wraparound, and he now goes to ground 40 metres away from the Parramatta goal line. This time it's played to Kieran Wallace, the langer. That was a forward pass back now to Kevin Wallace. He's cut him open. He's got a man outside, and it's Chris Johns. And Johns again scores for the Brisbane Broncos.
Well, here come the Broncos. You can't ever write them out. 22 points to 18 now. A very good try to Chris Johns. And it was Alan Langer up the blind side through the dummy. Got the ball back inside to Kevin Walters. They're starting to let the Broncos run. He drew the defence and gave it to Johns. And Johns has gone in and scored the try. 18 minutes left for play, and here come the Broncos, and it's 22 points to 18 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. What a brilliant game of football. Chris Johns the try for the Brisbane Broncos, laid on by Alan Langer and by the 5'8" for the Brisbane side in Kevin Walters. 22 points to 18. If they're going to let them run now, they'll run all over the top of them.
Dale Shearer 10 metres in from touch on the Parramatta quarter line.
If he kicks this one, here come the Broncos again.
Yeah, good night, Dick, maybe. Okay, as I said, 10 metres in from touchline. And on the quarter line, Parramatta, with all the instructions in the world now, Sterling giving it to them too, trying to get them up and going again.
They've got to start running from dummy half, start kicking and playing deep inside the Broncos territory. They can't play inside their own quarter because the Broncos will rip them apart. If Shearer kicks this one, I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos storm home.
Okay, and Dale Shearer now having the ball placed. Touch judges steady behind the back of the goal line. Shearer comes in now and he lifts it up. Height's no problem. What about distance? Oh, he's got the 2 points, Dale Shearer. That is a good kick.
22 points to 20. Dale Shearer has got 4 out of 4 this afternoon. The Broncos now within 2 points of Parramatta. Oh, what a performance from them. 22 to 20 now. Shearer, a beautiful conversion of the try scored by Chris Johns. 2 points the difference. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
Well, Sterling's had a game, but no less a game from the other side. Kevin Walters, what a cracker game.
Yeah, certainly has. One mistake and it cost them a try, but that certainly he's been putting in the second half now. Let's check them around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 36, South 16, South with a kick to come.
Brian Sturdy.
Yes, it's North Sydney 16 leading Western Suburbs 2.
John Purnell.
Canberra 6, Illawarra 4.
Phil Tressida.
St George 3, Canterbury Bankstown 2.
Okay, here back at Parramatta Stadium. It's Brisbane in possession of the football.
Yes, and trying to run it out on the far side. Hancock nearly minus his shorts, tries to get a go away again. Pushes Sterling away. He's strong. He gets away from another 1 or 2 before being put down by Mark Laurie. 32 out from their own line they are. Kieran Wallace gives a good pass to Dowling and he crashes forward. 8 metres short of the halfway line. Still back in Bronco territory. Kieran Wallace starts a run, turns it back. Gene Miles calls for it, gets a kick in downfield. I've got 4 or 5 of them offside, but Andrew Leeds has knocked on his own quarter line.
Well, Andrew Leeds there, that wasn't a difficult kick to take, and he's put his side under enormous pressure now. This is how the Broncos like it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put something on here from this scrum on the Parramatta quarter line. Sideline eye, Tony McGay. I fear the Broncos are going to finish all over them in the final 16 minutes.
What a difference Glenn Lydiard has made.
He certainly has. His absence from the game. Here's Kevin Walters, dangerous player.
Yeah, and they couldn't put him down. He was allowed to stand there like he was ordering a hamburger or something that time. Now it's played. It goes to Jackson. Out wide to Willie Kahn. He can't get past the tackle of Matt Goodwin, and he's knocked down 28 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. Kieran Waller's across the Langer. Kevin Waller's good pass to Miles. Miles offloads beautifully to Jackson. Jackson got a beautiful tackle by Joe Bartolo around the legs to stop that run. Now Johns from the back of the ruck tries to fend off one or two. He coughs one up for Jackson. He offloads out now to Kevin Wallace. He turns it back inside to Langer. Langer takes off. The pass has been knocked down. And
It's a try, is it?
No, he's not over the line. He's about a foot short of it.
6 more tackles.
Kieran Wallace from the back of the ruck.
Oh,
He shoots
Shepherd.
around, and it is a Shepherd, and Dowling puts his hands up around the head. Oh, and thank goodness for the penalty, let me tell you.
Well, he had to give it. It was a blatant Shepherd. It was the big fellow Dowling who stopped the Parramatta player, Brett Kenny. Kenny appealed to the referee.
Good ruling.
Yeah, good ruling. Blind Freddie would have picked it up. You're
Good
kidding.
ruling.
They're not that bad, the referees, and you've got to say that's a good ruling. That was just so obvious it wasn't funny.
Yeah, but a lot of them wouldn't have picked it up. We
Yeah,
know
a
we
lot of them
can't
can't
name them.
fire. Sideline eye, Tony McGee.
Still, there was a big hole there. They're falling in a hole, Para.
There they certainly are falling in a hole. Parramatta, can they hang on? There are 14 minutes left for play. They lead 22-20. They need an injection.
Danny Krankovic trying to go forward. Had a look at Dowling come at it, and he put the brakes on. He's up now to play it back to Sterling, gives it out to Peter Wynn. Oh, and he is crunched to the ground over the top by Gavin Allen.
They want the little blokes in a dummy half and start running from there.
I agree. Barnes now gives it to Langford, and Langford's easy meet there and picked off about 12 short of the halfway line, still in Parramatta territory. Barnes at dummy half across to Matty Goodwin. Goodwin shapes up to offload, gives it back to Kenny, goes astray. Jason Bell picks it up, but it's gone forward, says the referee.
Good pass too by Matt Goodwin, and almost getting through the gap there. Kenny, he laid the ball on. It was probably touched by a Bronco player, but the referee was unsided. Scrum win to the Broncos. Here goes Miles.
Down the
Here's
line
trouble.
side, yeah, he gets it back to Madison. Now out it goes to Willie Kahn. He stands him up. He gives it back to Madison. Madison around Andrew Leach. They score. They score. Terry Madison hanging on to his shirt tail was Andrew Leach, but too strong, and he's gone over for a try. And
24-22, and he almost wrecked that try there. Miles up the blind side, gave it to Madison. Willie Kahn had them through the gap, and I think Kahn almost did the wrong thing. He got the ball back inside to Madison. He got away from Andrew Leeds, and Leeds has missed his man badly. 24-22, the Broncos have come back from the dead to hit the lead 24-22 in a fantastic game of football. You've got to take your hat off to them. They're a heck of a side in the backs when you let them run, and that was a spectacular try. Terry Madison's had a big part in this comeback since he's been on, and Madison has scored the try, and the Broncos lead 24-22.
The kick to be taken now.
What a
From the
game of
touchline.
football.
Fantastic game of football.
Brave Parramatta, but just haven't got enough in their tank.
They're pygmies. Have a look at the back line. They're little fellas trying to come up against from the blokes the land of the giants. Dale Shearer now.
If he puts this one over, it'll be all over.
And we've
I think
got
it might be all over now.
Mark Horo's coming off the ground.
12
the
minutes
Parramatta
left
side.
for play. 24-22. Brave Parramatta, 4 tries each.
A metre in from the touchline, 24 metres out from the Parramatta goal line.
First time the Broncos have led, and the faces of the Parramatta players tell the story.
Dale Shearer coming in to see if he can get the 2 points. He's hit it, but it's going to go. What's it going to do? Well away to the right-hand side. No goal. 24-22 in favour of Brisbane.
Okay, Peter Johnston on and Mark Hiro off. Let's check the scores on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. Tony Peters.
This is like a game of cricket, this one. Cronulla 36, South 20.
Okay, Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 16, West 2.
John Purnell.
Canberra 8, Illawarra 4.
8-4, Phil Tressida.
Canterbury 8, St George 3.
Kevin Taylor.
Collingwood 109 lead Sydney 86.
Okay, back at Parramatta Stadium now. It's the Broncos in possession of the football.
Yes, and getting up the play, Gavin Allen. Back it goes this time to Kevin Wallace trying to get away from the back of the ruck. Wins over the top of him. Kieran Waller's a dummy half. His brother darts away, offloads out to Jackson, tries to step 1 or 2 out wide. Laurie was the man he tried to go over the top of, but it was a beautiful tackle, drops him. Kieran Waller's back to Langer, close to the ruck. That's where they're causing the problems, and Peter Sterling's there to stop Langer. He'll play it to Kieran Wallace, sends the ball back this time to Dale Shearer. Shearer manages to get his kick in. It's a long, long high kick. Oh, it's bounced. Well, the referees, that's better. I was waiting for the blue flag to go up. I thought he was going to wave it back.
Well, he's so slow, that fellow, that he was hoping he could get back and not have to run, but he had to run. He ought to get training too.
Now the scrum will go down 30 metres out from the Parramatta goal line. Peter Sterling to feed this one for the Eels. Very important scrum. They need possession at this stage. There it is. Parramatta come up with it. Gives it out now to Brett Kenny. Come on, Bertie. He gives it out now straight into the arms this time of Leeds, and he takes off, but he's pulled down by Miles.
10 minutes left for play. 2 points the difference.
Zorba,
Brisbane
Tola
24,
was locked on.
Parramatta 22, and the Broncos come up with possession.
Yes, and playing it now, Miles. Back it goes now to Willie Kahn. Brushes off one or two. Wins got hold of him in company with Barnes 30 out from the Parramatta goal line.
They've got the lights on here. It's dark, and it should be pretty dark for Parramatta. They had a match-winning lead in this game of 22 points to 8. 15 minutes into the second half, and they're going to lose it. Incredible.
Dowling in possession, pulled down by Sterling, again back into the Eels quarter line. It goes across to Kevin Waller's out this time to Jackson. Kevin Waller's on the wrap. He takes off and gets away from one and falls short. Kenny's over the top. One left to go to the Brisbane Broncos. Back it goes to Kieran Wallace to Langer. Langer again puts pressure on with a high kick. Plenty back there, 4-2. Leeds takes this one, goes back in the in-goal area, and he is dead meat there. Goal line drop out. He took it in the field of play. Ren back. Don't ask me why.
Well, he took it. He actually ran back and got tackled in the in-goal area.
I don't understand it.
He did take it well, though. And it's a line drop out for Parramatta. They trail by 24-22. And I make it 9 minutes left for play here at Parramatta Stadium. Kick downfield, taken by Shearer. Wouldn't be kicking it to him.
No, races across fairly. Beat Laurie's tackle, but Kenny's there to knock him to ground. Now he'll play the ball to Kieran Wallace on the Parra quarter line. Goes across to Dowling. The big man goes forward. He is well and truly in Parramatta's quarter now. Kenny again the tackler. Kieran Wallace a dummy half to Mark Hone. Bounces off one, still trying to gain that extra yard or so for his team. He plays it to Kieran Wallace. The turner's on out to Alfie Langer. Across to Kevin Wallace to Jackson. Does a juggling act. Gets away from one. Big and strong. Gets it back now to Kevin Wallace. Coughed up possession back to Kieran Wallace. And he said it has gone forward. Miracle!
Yeah, miracle, all right. They could have been over under the sticks there, the Brisbane Broncos side. It was amazing that they didn't score. Parramatta running out of time now. There are 8 minutes left in this game plus injury time. Brisbane 24, Parramatta 22. Let's check them around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Cronulla 36, South Sydney 20.
Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 16, Western Suburbs 2.
John Purnell.
It's 8-all, Canberra and Illawarra.
8-all, Canberra and Illawarra. Phil Tressida.
George 9, Canterbury Bankstown 8.
St George 9, Canterbury Bankstown 8. Gee, we've got some closies around the grounds. OK, Parramatta, can the Eels get up?
In possession, Peter Sterling going across, offloading out to Kenny. Kenny through the gap, he's going down the far side of the field, but he's going to be held up over there by Hancock and a bit of a struggle. Plays it now to Jason Bell. Bell takes off too. He picks up 8 metres or so, but all inside the 5, says the referee. And the crowd, they're gone nuts.
OK, 5 minutes. No, we've got 7 minutes left for play plus injury time at Parramatta Stadium. The Broncos 24, Parramatta 22.
There's the kick forward touch. It's a good one too, right in front of that Tui's draft sign. On the far side of the ground.
This could be their best chance of the game to snatch it.
Barnes takes the tap, races forward, down inside now the Broncos quarter line. He plays it to Peter Sterling, gives it across to Langford, drops the shoulder into Gavin Allen, but Allen stands his ground and knocks him down. He'll play it once again to Barnes. Barnes out now to big Peter Wynn. Peter Wynn to Matty Goodwin. Goodwin 10 metres out from the Brisbane goal line. Maybe the Eels are coming home here, and we see now Barnes wrestle down on the ground from the back of the ruck. He'll play it. Laurie's a dummy half across to Peter Sterling. Out wide to Kenny, to Jason Bell. Bell steps away from one, turns it back now to Peter Wynn. Does a 360, tries to go again, but he's taken over the top by Miles with one tackle left to go. Bell's a dummy half. He puts a kick up. They all race through for it. Who's at home? Shearer's at home, and he goes out the back door, so we're back to the quarter line to recommence.
Yeah, it'll be a tap from the quarter for the Brisbane Broncos. Let's check those scores around the grounds. Tony Peters.
Full time, Cronulla 36, South 20.
Brian Surtees.
North Sydney 16, West 6.
16 to 6. How long to go, Brian?
About 2 minutes, Pete.
John Purnell.
About the same time to go here, and it's locked at 8-all between Canberra and Illawarra. Now it's all over now. It's 8-all. There's the full-time whistle.
8-all draw between Illawarra and Canberra.
I don't believe it. Now we've got Parramatta. Oh, little Danny Krankovic makes a little bit of a bust, but he's knocked down outside the Broncos quarter line.
Let's check the score with Phil Tressida.
Yes, it's St George 9, Canterbury 8.
How long to go, Phil?
About 2 minutes.
OK, hang on there, you Saints. Here it is. It's the Parramatta side in possession. Sterling.
Giving a pass out to Jackson. Oh, but he's got his legs chopped from under him by Peter Jackson. Gets up now to play it. Back it goes this time to Peter Wynn. Wynn charges forward. He had Johnson with him but couldn't get his pass away. Johnson now is a dummy half for the Parramatta Eels. Peter Sterling handles it, goes wide to Kenny. Kenny tries to step Langer and Gene Miles. They can't do that. They've got hold of him. And he will play it with one left to go on the Brisbane quarter line. Back to Peter Sterling and the little general can only put a high kick up. They all follow through. Shearer's up there. It goes back now to Matty Goodwin. Goodwin tries to keep it alive out to Kenny. Kenny had a look to offload, but he's knocked to the ground.
6 more tackles to Parramatta and the Eels. 4 minutes out. They're 2 down. Can they come up? Here goes Peter Wynn charging. He's 8 metres out.
Up now to play the ball. Barnes a dummy half. Peter Sterling's got him deep. He receives it, tries to go on his own. Turns back, gives it back to Mark Glurry. But Glurry's pulled down now 6 metres out from the Brisbane goal line.
Don't forget a penalty. He'll give them a draw.
Back it goes now to Barnes, a dummy half across to Kenny White. It goes to Jason Bell. A good pass out to Andy Leeds. But Leeds is knocked to the ground. He will play it. Oh, and he's lost the football.
It's a penalty.
It's a penalty.
It's a penalty. Well, they've got to take the shot at goal, Andrew Leeds. They've got to take the draw, surely.
Well, Sterling, I don't think he's going to do that. What's Sterling? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's going to have the shot at goal.
Oh, I can't watch this one. You do this one. I can't watch this.
You've always been weak. While he's lining this one up, let's see if it's full time at Campbelltown. Brian Surtees.
It is full time at Campbelltown with North Sydney keeping alive. There's Slender semi-final hopes winning 16-6.
16-6. Phil Tressett, full time at Cogra.
Full time at Cogra. St George have beaten Canterbury Bankstown 9 points to 8.
Okay, Kevin Canterbury are out of the Winfield Cup semi-final race now. 9-8 to St George. Kevin Taylor at the SCG.
Still a close one. Collingwood 116 leads Sydney 98.
Okay, Andrew Leeds.
Yep, there he is now, Pete. 20 metres out from the Brisbane goal line. 8 metres in from the touchline.
And we're right behind it. You take the blue flag, I'll take the red.
Okay, well, here we go. I've got everything crossed up here. Hold on to me, Matthew. If he kicks this one, I'm going to go right off me crumpet. Here he comes now. Around the corner style kicker for Andrew Leeds. Oh, he's going to go! Oh, it's bounced back in the field of play.
It's hit the upright and bounced back.
Oh,
you wouldn't believe it. The luck. It's a knock on by the Broncos.
Kevin Walters.
Kevin Walters. It'll be a scrum feed to Parramatta. 2 minutes left for play. Oh, is this a thriller or is it what? Parramatta, how unlucky.
Well, now the
strike me.
And Peter Sterling up to feed it. And they win it. Sterling gets a pass across to Kenny. Kenny gives it out there to Jason Bell. Oh, he's copped it up. Jason Bell has copped it up.
Well, he's played no advantage. They were blatantly offside, and he should have given the penalty after Parramatta lost the advantage.
Well, he
Not
didn't.
game enough to do it.
Miles now getting up to play the ball, wasting as much time as he can. And now...
They're blessed, this mob.
Yeah.
4 tries each. They are blessed.
Kieran Wallace playing it this time to Jackson. Peter Jackson, that is, that he's knocked down once again by Peter Sterling. Getting up the plat. Kieran Waller's a dummy half again. They'll play this out. Dowling just puts his head down, bum up, charges forward outside of his own quarter line. One kick, one tackle left to go. The kick will be on. They'll get the heck out of there. Miles gives it across to Shearer. And Shearer puts the leather right down the other end of the ground, into the arms of Danny Krankovic. He steps 1 or 2, but he's pulled down about 10 metres short of the halfway line.
1 minute left for play. 1 minute left for play. Brisbane 24, Parramatta 22. And as I said before, they're blessed.
Now it's Matty Goodwin still charging forward, straight into the defensive line of the Brisbane side. He'll get up there to play it. Barnes, a dummy half, sends one across to Johnson. Oh, and Hone comes in with a bone crusher with Gavin Allen over the top.
He's not worried about the 5 now.
No, back now it goes to Kenny. Kenny tries to go through the gap, couldn't keep it alive. Oh, and Kenny's thrown a dud pass too.
That'll be it.
Jackson comes up with it. Peter
That'll
Jackson,
be it. And the Brisbane side will get home. Sideline eye, Tony McGay.
They've had their chances, Parramatta. 22-8. You shouldn't lose from there.
You certainly shouldn't, but the Broncos have come back gallantly, and you've got to admire that. But, oh, boy, they've had a bit of luck when they've needed it this afternoon. A couple of question marks on some of their tries.
Gene Miles up the plat in the halfway line. Back to Kieran Wallace. He gives it out now to Mark Hone. He carries the leather a shade over the halfway line. And there goes the siren.
Well, Peter Sterling's our 2GB Matt Barry's man of the match, not by a little way, but by a long way. In a beaten side this afternoon, 4 tries all, but Peter Sterling, a magnificent game from Sterling this afternoon, and he's our 2GB Matt Barry's man of the match this afternoon. 3 points to Peter Sterling, 2 to Kevin Walters for another great game from the Brisbane Broncos, 5-8 this afternoon, and 1 point in a beaten side again this afternoon for a very strong display by Mark Laurie, who I thought had a sensational game. Parramatta, certainly this afternoon, I thought they were the better side out there and they deserved to win the football match, but they didn't, and the Broncos have again come home very strongly. They were down in the game by 22 points to 8, and they have come home and really given Parramatta a real shock in the second half. Another great game from Kevin Walters. Kevin, that was too close for comfort for you.
You're not wrong, mate. I started panic there at the end a bit there, but we finally got home, so it's another 2 points.
Well, 22 points to 8. You must have been thinking, how are we going to get out of this? Because they were playing very well.
They were playing very well, and living off it, we made a few errors, and they capitalised on it, but we're still quietly confident, 22-8, that we could come up and we can get the 2 points today. Well, it's a vital 2 for you because it keeps you on target for the minor premiership, and certainly you've kicked away now. You're on 27. The nearest team are Balmain on 24, so that's a great result for you this weekend. Yeah, it's a good result, all right. It gives us a 3-point buffer on the rest of the field, but I'm sure they'll be breathing down the next few weeks, so we've still got to hang in there. Well, a great game today from the opposite captain, Peter Sterling. He really led Parramatta and drove them well. Yeah, Sterlo's a great player. He knows where to take the ball, unfortunately, from us, and that was a good game by Sterlo, and we're just lucky to get the 2 points. Well, you were lucky. Do you consider that maybe a bit of luck with that last goal attempt hitting the upright? It could have gone anywhere and it could have gone through, and a draw, a lot different result for you guys. You're not wrong there, we did play with a bit of luck there in the second half, but as I say, the game's over now and we're just glad it is. OK, 12 points to 8 down at half-time. What was the feeling at half-time? Well, we were quite happy with our first half performance. We've made a couple of mistakes, but they played really well, Parramatta, and they're a good team as well. They certainly are a great side. OK, thanks very much, Kev. Congratulations. Thanks, Peter. OK, Kevin Walters, who's playing in grand style for this Brisbane Broncos side. He is just playing as well as any 5'8" in the Winfield Cup. Statistics this afternoon for Parramatta and Brisbane this afternoon in a great game of football. Brisbane 24 have beaten Parramatta 22. The try scorers in the game for the Brisbane side, Alan Langer scored a try. Terry Madison a try, Chris Johns a try, and, Terry Madison, who came on 2 tries for the Brisbane Broncos, coming on in the second half, and 4 goals from 5 attempts to Dale Shearer. And for the Parramatta side, tries to Jason Bell, Joe Bartolo, Mark Laurie, and the man of the match, Peter Sterling. For Parramatta, 2 goals from 3 attempts to Glenn Lydiard and 1 goal from 3 attempts to Andrew Leeds. 4 tries each, the goal kicking the difference. The scrums 8-6 to Parramatta and the penalties 6-4 to the Parramatta side. Our Mad Barry's points, 3 points to Peter Sterling, 2 to Kevin Walters and 1 to Mark Laurie. Full-time scores around the grounds. Cronulla 30 have beaten South 20. North 16 have beaten West 6. Canberra and Illawarra, a stunning 8-all draw there. St George 9 have beaten Canterbury 8. Kevin Taylor, update SCG.
After being within 5 points of Collingwood, it's now 11 points the difference, but still at least 8 minutes to go. Collingwood 122, lead Sydney 111. OK, let's go into our full-time summaries now. Tony Peters at the Sydney Football Stadium.
Thanks, Peter. Well, Cronulla 36 have beaten South Sydney 20. Cronulla scored 7 tries. Jonathan Docking scored 3. Gavin Miller got 2. Matthew Corkery and Glenn Coleman scored 1 each. And Matthew Corkery kicked 4 goals from 8 attempts. For South Sydney, the Rabbitohs, Graham Lyne scored 1 try, Phil Blake scored 2 tries, and Steve Maven got the other. Charlie Saab kicked 2 goals from 3 attempts, and Darren McCarthy failed with his 2 shots at goal. The scrums favoured Cronulla 8-5. The penalties finished 5-all. The crowd here at the Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon, a healthy 8,326, and our referee was Bill Harrigan. Well, Cronulla have stayed in touch with the semi-final contenders with a stylish 36-20 win over a gutsy South Sydney in an entertaining match here at the Sydney Football Stadium. An 11-try avalanche gave the 8,000-plus crowd plenty to like about a match which saw some superb individual performances. Jockey-sized Sharks fullback Jonathan Docking scored a hat-trick of tries in a very smart display. Playmaker Gavin Miller scored 2 tries and had a hand in 3 others in a superb man-of-the-match display. Not to be forgotten for the losers, Phil Blake finally showed touches of that old Blake magic with 2 brilliant tries, showing blistering pace for the second. After leading 16-12 at the break, with South still some chance, the Sharks went right on with the job in the second half to score 4 more tries to kick away to 36 points to 12. But 2 late tries by South made the scoreline much more respectable. Gavin Miller, still not 100% fit with the rib injury he's been carrying, had a marvellous match. South Sydney signalled him out for plenty of attention, but he was too crafty and durable, and his precision-like passes at times had to be seen to be believed. Docking and Matt Corkery, who scored 12 points, and the rugged prop Danny Lee all had outstanding games for the winners. The Sharks played very well, their pack was very strong up front, and they got well on top of South Sydney to lay the foundations for their fleet-footed backs. Blake and Mario Fennick had strong games for the losers, who tried very hard but couldn't match the Sharks' pace out wide. The reserve grade went to South 15 points to 6, the President's Cup to South 21 to 14, and repeating in first grade in an 11-try feast. Don't miss the highlights tonight. Cronulla 36 beat South Sydney 20.
Thanks very much, Tony Peters. Brian Surtees at Campbelltown.
Yes, 8,208 fans at Campbelltown this afternoon to see North Sydney keep alive their flickering semi-final hopes with a 16 points to 6 win over Western Suburbs after they had led by 10 points to 2 at half-time. For North Sydney, McPhail and MacArthur got tries, and Conlon landed 4 goals from 5 attempts. For Western Suburbs, Jackson the try, and Taylor landed 1 goal from 2 attempts. The scrums favoured Western Suburbs by 6-5. The penalties were 7 all. 10-2 at half-time in favour of North Sydney, and North Sydney certainly deserved its win after its shellacking last week from Newcastle. It came back very strongly today. Its forwards tackled ferociously, took the ball forward and laid the platform there for their backs. But no denying Western Suburbs, they also did a great job in defence, but unfortunately when they were in try-scoring positions they just failed to finish. For North Sydney, Tony Ray, the hooker, had a very, very strong game. Adrian Toole, who came on in the second half, took the ball forward. In fact, the whole North Sydney pack played very, very strongly. Mark Soden was injured just before half-time. Jason Martin went to half-back and carried on the good work. There was some good defence out in the centres by North Sydney, and Conlon, apart from one mistake where he carried the ball over the dead ball line, had a steady game. For Western Suburbs, there was some good work from Ivan Henjak and Bob Linder in the forwards. Henjak, of course, at half, a good kicking game in the first half, and some strong running from O'Doherty and also Jackson and Tutor. But all in all, the North Sydney side thoroughly deserved their victory here this afternoon. They made the most of the opportunities which came their way. Some very poor defence gave MacArthur his chance midway through the second half to score a try after a misdirected pass in the first half had given McPhail a try-scoring opportunity after good lead-up work by Ray Soden before McPhail scored. In fact, Ray had a hand in both North Sydney tries. Western Suburbs got a consolation try 3 minutes from full-time after fella Henjak Cogger combined to send big front rower Jackson in for the try. So North Sydney has beaten Western Suburbs here at Campbelltown by 16 points to 6. Reserve grade was won by North Sydney by 20 points to 6. It was 24 all in President's Cup.
Thanks very much, Brian Surtees. Well, a stunning, almost upset at Bruce Stadium. It looks like Illawarra have scored 2 tries to 1 and have drawn with Canberra. And, well, John Purnell's there and has got the story.
That's exactly right, Peter, and what a sensational game and sensational finish it was here. And a very unhappy Tim Sheen stormed off the oval this afternoon, and obviously he's going to say a few words this afternoon. But before a crowd of 9,470 fans, Canberra and Illawarra played an 8-all draw. Scorers for Canberra were Ferguson, 1 try in the first half, and Meninga kicking the rest of the points with 2 from 4 from the boot. And the scorers for Illawarra running in their 2 tries were Rodwell and Simon, and Wishart being unsuccessful with 2 attempts. The scrums favoured Canberra 10-7, and the penalties also favoured Canberra 10-7. Well, it certainly was a game that didn't disappoint any of the fans here at Bruce Stadium this afternoon. It was played at a fast and furious pace, and full marks to the Illawarra Steelers here today. They played with commitment and determination and didn't take the pressure off the Raiders for the full 80 minutes. It was 2 tries to 1, with the Steelers' equaliser coming just 1 minute before full time. This gave Wishart a very difficult kick from the sideline to win the game, which he was unable to convert. The ball went high, it was heading in the direction, but it just went slightly to the right-hand side of the uprights, much to the relief of the Raiders and to Tim Sheens. Soon after the start of the second half, the Steelers through Rodwell made the score 4-all after some very good support and lead-up work by Trevor Kissel. Meninga put the Raiders back in front with a penalty in the 9-minute mark of the second half and again in the 32nd minute mark of the second half to put the Raiders up by 8-4, and they maintained that lead right throughout most of the second half as the game seesawed. Up until 5 minutes to go, and then we saw a spectacular bit of play by John Simon. He kicked the ball ahead, it went over the head of Gary Belcher. He followed it through and he then booted it again, and there was a great chase towards the line, and of course Simon was the one that made it to the line to put the ball down, much to the dismay of the chasers of Phil Carey and Gary Belcher, and also to Paul Martin, who were trying to save the score, and that equalised the score. And then of course Wishart missed the kick. The secret of the game here today, I felt, was the fact that the Steelers once again, they moved up very quickly on the ball and they really shut down Stewart, Meninga, Carey and Ferguson in the back line and restricted their ability to move around, and that certainly put the stamp on the game. And the forward pack of the Illawarra Steelers, they really played well today. They tackled well, they ran hard, and they certainly gave a full 100% effort right throughout the 80 minutes, as I mentioned. The best for the Steelers were Chris Walsh, their captain, outstanding game, and Ian Russell, Rodwell, Wishart and Airball had strong games, and for Canberra, Coyne, Lance, Stewart and Belcher, I felt were certainly their best here this afternoon. In reserve grade, it was a win to Canberra by 14 points to 8, and President's Cup also Canberra got up by 40 points to 14. Repeating the first grade score here at Bruce Stadium today, Canberra and Illawarra drew 8-all.
Thanks very much. An exciting game there, John Purnell. Crowd at Parramatta Stadium today, 20,128. 20,128, and they saw a humdinger, and it was 4 tries each. 8 spectacular tries in this game. Let's go to Phil Tressida at Cogra for a real tight one.
Thanks, Peter. St George have won a thriller here, 9 points to 8 against Canterbury Bankstown, and that effectively brings down the curtain on the very faint chance that the Bulldogs might have had of reaching the semi-finals. Well, for St George, Cameron Wade scored the try. Mackay kicked 2 goals.